Hey everybody, in this video I just want to talk to you about how the layer stack order affects blending modes. Right now we're still working with just Jacket 1 and Lake 1, and Jacket 1 is in the divide blend mode at 100%, and it's creating this kind of what I think of as this lovely almost Xerox greenish yellow, and then this the jacket is becoming a kind of blue and purple that reminds me a little bit of the lake. So I like that, the way that looks, and I also like the interaction of this, and I like the interaction of that as those two blocks of image kind of sit on top of each other. Now, if I just want to bring up the point that if I activate another layer, and let's go to activate Jacket 2, it's not affected by the blend mode in Jacket 1 as we've talked about before. And as you can see, I flipped Jacket 2 upside down so that it is kind of making a reverse symmetrical kind of action with Jacket 1. Now, I can move that around, and as you can see, it has no interaction. Now, however, if I take Jacket 2 and I give it a blend mode besides normal, you can see that there's all sorts of different interactions that happen. And partly what's happening here is that we're getting blending modes blending into each other. Jacket 2 in difference is interacting with a normal layer here with the lake, but then it is interacting with the way that Jacket 1 interacts with Lake 1 right here. Okay? That allows it to have a very different effect from this space to this space because of where it sits and also where Jacket 1 sits. Okay? So again, Lake 1 has no blend mode except for normal. Jacket 2 is interacting with Lake 1 through a divide blend mode, and in Jacket 2 it has a difference blend mode, and that is interacting as one kind of difference when it interacts with the lake, and when it interacts with Jacket 1 it's interacting with the colors that Jacket 1 is producing by interacting with Lake 1. Wow, okay. Further, if you look at this, Jacket 2 is affected by these curves, okay? So the way that the curves are interacting on Jacket 2 are then come into the way that it interacts with everything below it. If I were to turn these off, then we would get a very different image for Jacket 2, and therefore a very different interaction of the difference blend mode that is applied to it. If I turn those back on, again, we get a different image. And if I went to the different adjustment layers and I turned off the clip, then I would get a very different image than everything else I've made so far, because now these adjustment layers are being applied to all of the interactions that are happening between Lake 1, Jacket 1, and Jacket 2. Okay? It matters where something is in the layer stack, what you're asking it to do, and how the adjustment layers in the layer stack are clipped or not clipped, and what position they're put in. This is another way of saying play around with order, play around with clipping, play around with what is and is not in a blend mode, and see how those interactions might be fruitful to you. There isn't a formula here except for understanding that there is a certain sequence or order of action that takes place in the layers as they are stacked one on top of the other.